programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
I'm coming today. Now he's.
Oh, okay.
Good morning. All right. Welcome to Superintendent Spotlight. As we are getting ourselves together this morning, we both ran in at the last minute. Thank you, Pete, for setting us up. So you guys are going to have to share a mic. Hope that's okay. So today is Halloween.
October 31st.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
November 1st tomorrow. It's unbelievable.
Unreal, but it's going to be 80 degrees today, so I took advantage and wore a short sleeve shirt for the last time probably this year, right? Because when are you going to be able to do that again?
I don't know, but we're twins again.
We are. Oh, you just want to be me. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. All right, so.
No.
So I know. But Halloween, so I hope, I want to tell, I don't think people expect it to be 80 degrees, so if you have a big, heavy costume, that's not the best day for it. But I hope everyone is safe and has a good Halloween tonight. Today is, there's Pete.
Hi, Pete.
We have, so I even left my papers at home today, so I'm really out of whack. And it is today's National Knock Knock Joke Day. And I had about 20, and I can't remember them. And I have one that I can remember. Are you ready? I don't know why I remember this one. I'm embarrassed that I remember this one, so I'm putting it up.
All right.
All right, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Brittany.
Brittany who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Oops, I did it again. Sorry, that's what I remember. All right, so there you go.
Okay.
Do you have one?
No. Who can follow that up, right?
I got one.
All
Knock,
right.
knock.
Who's there?
Howard.
Howard who?
Good, and you?
Oh, there we go. See? All right, so if any come to mind, you have a knock, knock joke day.
You are muted.
I'm muted? What did he say? He's muting me?
I think I've been muted.
Hey, look at Tiger's Pride Restaurant is open today.
10:45.
It is 10:45 to 12:15. The menu today looks fantastic. They have the soups are baked potato chowder or Mexican chicken and black bean soup. The salad today is the special salad. They always have a garden salad, but the special is chicken, cantaloupe, and strawberry salad, which is marinated chicken, grilled chicken breast served on the top of fresh greens with garden vegetables, cantaloupe, strawberries, feta cheese, and finished with their own homemade raspberry vinaigrette. The entrees today, shrimp and scallop risotto. How's that?
Ah, it sounds pretty good.
And then a balsamic glazed caprese chicken. That's pretty
Also
high,
sounds
high
good.
stuff here. This is
Absolutely.
hard. And then the sandwich special today is an egg salad croissant, deviled egg salad served on a flaky croissant with lettuce and tomatoes, served with chef's side and a pickle. I am a fan of egg salad, actually. Do you like egg salad? No?
Once in a while.
Yeah, I don't want it all the time.
Once in a while, sure.
But even better, and you and I will be elsewhere tomorrow, but they're having a brunch buffet tomorrow for lunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to arrange Kenny to come in and relieve me for 45 minutes because I got 3 hours of hour back tomorrow.
You do? Isn't he on a cruise, or is he? When is he going on his cruise?
He's leaving Saturday.
Okay.
Remember to turn your clocks an hour back this weekend.
Oh,
Fall back.
very good, Pete.
An extra
Hour
hour
back.
sleep.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
because I need to
That fits
recoup
it.
from my late night baseball games, which were very.
Disheartening?
We don't need to talk about those.
Isn't it football season?
We've moved on.
Will be shortly.
So tomorrow they have their garden salad, coffee cakes, cinnamon rolls, soups, Western scrambled eggs, pancakes with syrup, an omelet station. I love their omelets.
Yeah, omelet station's nice.
Bacon, sausage, home fries, and my favorite, eggs Benedict. But it's brunch, so there's also lasagna, baked stuffed fish with lobster sauce, eggplant rollatini, carved roast pork with Espanol sauce, roasted acorn squash, and garlic mashed potatoes. That's a heavy menu to me.
I'm drooling.
Yes, that sounds absolutely delicious. So,
Sounds like a nap.
yes, it does. 564-3123 if you want to come to Tiger's Pride Restaurant. So today we are here with our BCBAs, behaviorists, and we wanted to have our on the show. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We'll introduce you in a second. But because not a lot of people know what a BCBA is, and it's a board-certified behavior analyst, right?
Correct.
And when we were kids in school, to be fair, I didn't hear about these things, Chris, and I don't think really. Right?
I'm not sure we had BCBAs.
I don't think so. I feel as though the importance of them is huge, right? And we'll talk about that.
Truly.
But I think it's a relatively, at least in schools, a newer, when I say newer, in the last 20 years,
Right.
kind of a newer phenomenon, right, Jamie? So tell us who you brought and talk about BCBAs for a second.
Sure.
And introduce yourself.
And introduce
Yes,
yourself.
my name's James O'Neill. I'm the lead manager of Autism, Social, Emotional, and Behavioral Programming. I'm also a BCBA. I've been a autism consultant in this district. I was from 2003 to 2016. And then that time frame around 2015, I became a BCBA.
So is that when we kind of switched over? Because I remember
Yes.
we worked together when your first time in the
Oh, yeah. Yep.
and you were an autism consultant here.
Correct.
And you taught me a lot, and I remember that.
Yeah.
So when did the BCBA piece come? I mean, it was always there probably, but when did it become more prominent, I guess, is what I feel like it became more prominent. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I think in our district, we started really incorporating BCBAs around 2011, 12.
Okay.
Right, so we had a woman, Sarah Boudreau.
I remember.
Actually, a woman, Kelly St. Clair, worked a very short time with us. But we had a partnership with Westfield State University.
That's right.
Joey Reyes is their director over there. So that's where I went. It was a great program. I was encouraged to go there, and I'm actually happy that I went there because I was thinking of getting a master's in autism spectrum disorders, and was I've spoken to and talked into going for applied behavior analysis, which was a great move.
A great move.
Good.
Okay, and we have two of our district BCBAs with us.
Yes.
We have?
So we have Alyssa Clark, and she's working in the Fort Meadow preschool programming. And she was both Alyssa and Elissa are here with us today. So Alyssa also works at Munger Hill.
Okay.
And you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Welcome to the show. It's your
Welcome to
first
the
time,
show.
right?
Thank you. Yes, this is our first time.
Are you nervous?
new?
Oh, good, because we're on TV
That's perfect.
and radio.
Yes.
Just,
a little bit.
sometimes the TV part is a surprise for people.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily tell them ahead of time.
Yes, well, I did, right? before.
Surprise! Okay.
Yeah, so I work primarily at our preschool, so here in Fort Meadow, which is really great. So I run what's called an academic behavioral pull-out service. So I have kids kind of all different levels and all different abilities, and we're working on skills for inclusion. So really, how can we give these kiddos kind of the skills and the bumps they need to then be able to go into their integrated classroom and be successful, the most independent that they can. So, sometimes we still might need support and things like that, but we're really looking at what skills do they need, and we're working through and kind of teaching those.
So you're working with preschool kids. So really,
Yep.
this might be the first time, it is the first time in a lot of cases, right, where these students are exposed to school. I mean, they may have gone to like a daycare beforehand, but when they're going to preschool, it's the first time in school.
Yeah, and it's a big adjustment.
A big adjustment, and I think it's also the first time that we have the opportunity to really assess our students, right, to see what their behavior needs are, right?
Yep. Yeah. So, it varies. Some of our students receive early intervention before they turn 3. So we're able to be in contact with kind of their early intervention teams, and, we're able to meet with them. There are times where I'm able to kind of have some of our students come in early. So I'm able to kind of assess and meet with them sooner, so we can get a little bit of a better idea. But, it is their first school experience. So it's really hard when we're first meeting them for that, that first time to make those kinds of decisions. So it is, really great that we have the ability to bring them in and kind of see where they're at, and give them that adjustment period. There are times where we come in and, we're like, whoa, they might need a lot of support, but, after 6 weeks, we're like, they're doing great. They just need to fall into the routine.
So they need your services forever, or is it a limited time? Or can it go either way?
Can go either way.
Yeah?
Yeah, depending on the level of the individual. What's presented in front of us, challenging behaviors, whether there's cognitive functioning that might need kind of a lifelong span of skills to be taught and supported. But typically the services, we would like to get, individuals to a point where we're teaching some pretty good skills for them. One of the things in our field, and I think you guys could probably agree, that a lot of people wish that we didn't call it behavior analysis because it's so strongly associated with
Negative behavior.
Negativity.
Sorry.
behavior.
That's what
We stop behaviors. We don't do anything else. But really, I think the biggest piece of our field is that we teach skills. And we try to really, encourage people to understand why things happen, educate them on those components, and then really teach replacement skills that serve similar purposes that are presented.
So, Alyssa, you work at Munger Hill. Talk about that for a minute. How's that?
So Alyssa Clark works over at Munger Hill.
Oh.
I'm at Paper Mill.
That she's
Paper
paper
mill.
mill, yeah.
Yeah, this is Alyssa Miller.
Miller.
Yeah.
I know, confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm confusing you on purpose.
You are. It's
It's Alyssa
working.
and Elisa.
It's working.
So I'm over at Paper Mill and then Highland Elementary
Okay.
1 day a week. I've been at Paper Mill for a couple years now.
So you work with our Milestones program,
Yep.
particularly?
Yep, exactly. Yep, and the gen ed population there as well
Okay.
for students who might need that extra support. And my background is all school-based, and that's kind of different. I think a lot of BCBAs come into schools after having some in-home experience, and I really always was within the school system, and I kind of always was really passionate about staying within the school system.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So getting to work within the programs and kind of seeing both sides of having students who do need that support, where they're mainly within their program room for the full day, getting those skills, working on those independent skills. And then I also get to see those students who have, gotten all of those skills and are now within the gen ed classroom, maybe full day or maybe half day.
So that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Is to help
Always.
manage student behavior,
Yep.
right? And I think, and then put so that they're able to access the curriculum.
Sure.
How do you become a BCBA? What do you have to do? Do I need a 4-year degree? Do I need any of that? Like, how do you become a BCBA?
Well, there's levels, right? So BCBAs are master's levels clinicians. So you have to take a 2-year program, master's program.
So you need a master's degree.
Correct. So there's different pathways to it.
Okay.
Some people will go into it with already having a master's degree, whether it's in psychology or special education, and they can take core courses to get a certificate that allows them to be eligible to sit for the exam. I would recommend that.
There's an exam.
Oh, yeah. There's a board certification exam.
All right.
You also have to, get what are called practicum hours that are supervised by a
It's like
BCBA.
you have to do it for a teacher too, right? Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16-week practicum or something?
We had, absolutely. We had to do that to be administrators too.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have 300 hours.
300 hours?
We have 2,000 hours that we have.
Oh, my gosh. Really?
1,000 hours.
I would say that the BCBAs are very similar to, if you think of the medical model, like nurse practitioners.
Okay.
Very similar in regards to the master's program, having to pass a board certification, go through your practicum hours. It's a very similar credentialing process. You have to maintain your certification every 2 years, so you have to get all your CEUs every 2 years.
And they charge you for the certification, I'm imagining.
Oh, yeah.
Of
yeah,
course
yeah.
they do. Yeah, yeah.
And we also have to be.
Why wouldn't they, right?
We also have to be licensed in the state of Massachusetts. So most of the states are requiring a licensure to practice within their state.
Does your license carry into other states?
No. Our
So it's like a
certification
teaching
is.
license, Chris, right? You're teaching, if you go to Connecticut, you have to get a Connecticut teaching license.
Right, unless there's a little bit of reciprocity between states. Massachusetts and Connecticut are funny. They border each other but have no reciprocity.
Which made no sense to me, by the way, ever, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take our first break.
All right.
But I do want to give you a question to ponder. So if there's something that you want our listeners to know about behavior in general, what would that be? What would that be? But so we play 4 songs during the show. The last song, it takes us out, so I tell you what it is. And all these songs were on the top 100 of a given year. So all the same songs are from the same year. They were in the top 100. So that's what we're looking for, is the year. Now I went back in the archives today because I knew we had Jamie, so I like to challenge Jamie.
He's the music guru.
I won the last time.
He
so
did.
I just have to say.
He did, and he may win today. Although Pete's really good too. We actually had some good guesses lately. People
Lately,
kind of
yes.
in the
Kinda
zone.
in the ballpark.
I wonder if today will be that same thing, right? So our first song is number 13. Number 13 on the list. Here we go.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
And welcome back to Superintendent Spotlight. It is Halloween, October 31st. So that was Moni Moni by Tommy James and the Shondells. That's an oldie.
Yeah, this is going to be tough.
Although, you know, music that we liked, like in the 80s and 90s, that's
I wasn't
now
even
oldies.
born yet, so...
Oh, those are classic rock now.
That's
90s are classic rock.
Classic rock. But I remember growing up, Pete, listening to Rock 102, classic rock.
Yeah.
But now that classic rock that we listen to is oldies.
Anything 30 years or older is now classic or oldies.
Wow. We're classic, Chris. We're oldies. What do you
think? Experience.
Get your cane.
So I asked a question because I think that's an important message. Because I think behavior is underanalyzed by people, or misunderstood in a lot of cases.
Definitely.
Because, you know, I don't know that people take the opportunity or the time to understand people's behavior and realize there's always a reason, right? Mm-hmm. So go ahead, you're first.
Yeah. So I think my biggest piece would be that behavior, whether it's good or bad, whatever we're looking at, is some form of communication. So if a child is engaging in challenging behavior, you know, they're telling us maybe they're lacking a skill that they wish they had. They don't have the skill to tell us that they're really angry right now about something, or that could be an adult doing something too, you know, but regardless, it's some form of communication. They're telling us something, and in that way, we need to know that it's our job to look at the situation, look at the student, look at the behavior, and say, what can we do to help them?
Right.
Because there is a way. There's
Sure.
something that we can find from that situation when they're engaging in challenging behavior, and it is some form of communication. They're telling us something.
Okay.
So I think that's, you know, really important.
All right. Hope she didn't steal anyone else's answer. Okay.
I think one takeaway for me is just that, you know, behavior often goes where reinforcement flows.
There it is.
Which is what people say a lot. But just, you know.
What does that mean, though?
Look at, you know, we might have a student that is engaging in a lot of, you know, let's say, you know, yelling out behaviors. But every time they yell out, someone might be saying, you need to be quiet. Oh, we don't do that, right? And so they're getting a lot of attention. And so we're going to see an uptick usually in those behaviors if they want to receive that attention. So if we're providing a lot of reinforcement, let's say, to challenging behaviors.
Even negative reinforcement.
Even negative reinforcement, right? Negative attention can still be reinforcing. It doesn't have to just be positive attention. So, you know, a lot of times we might not be trying to reinforce the behavior, but we really are. And so if we can kind of flip the scales and we can look at, you know, changing it to, I love how you're sitting quietly, or you're doing such a nice job doing your work, and they're getting all the attention for, you know, those adaptive behaviors or those skills that we want to see them doing, then a lot of times we'll see those, you know, those behaviors from that student are becoming stronger, and those challenging behaviors then become weaker, and we don't see those happening as often. But we get kind of stuck in that reverse where we're constantly kind of pointing out the negatives or what we shouldn't be doing, and we really want to start focusing on the positives of what we should be doing and figuring that out.
That's very interesting, actually. I think, you know, well, the attention piece, negative or positive, I think is it, because I think if a child wants attention, they're going to seek it out, right?
Yeah.
Whether it is positive or negative.
Yep. Right.
All right, Jamie.
Yes. No, I will echo what both of them said, right? So behavior serves a purpose. Whether that's something people want to see that's desirable or that's challenging or problematic. I think the biggest challenge that BCBAs face is that everyone has a long history of dealing with behavior, right? So how your parents parented you, how their parents parented them, how you parented your children if you are parents, how schools worked, right? So thinking in regards to the history of being a teacher. What did we do 20 years ago?
Right.
Right? And so a lot of the things that people get stuck in, like they've already talked about, are potentially calling out the things that you don't want to see, the problematic behaviors, right? And trying to stop those things.
Yeah, but saying stop yelling doesn't necessarily work.
Correct. Right? And I think the contingencies nowadays are very different than they were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And so we have to really, as educators and as people in general, I mean, it's a challenge to understand, like what Alyssa was saying. You know, we are reinforcing or rewarding a lot of problematic behaviors often without understanding that behavior serves a purpose. And I think, too, many people take challenging behaviors personally.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, and so that's a huge piece too.
It is.
So.
But yeah, and if I love how you talked about, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and I remember being a first-year teacher, second-year teacher, third-year teacher, caught in that trap where that if a student wasn't engaged in my class, or if a student was giving me a hard time or acting out, somehow that was an affront to me. Right. And I think that's a hard lesson for us to learn as educators, that most of the time, the vast majority of the time, it's not a personal attack on you as the educator or as the person in charge, especially when we became assistant principals, right? That was definitely not
right. I mean, that was not exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's all we dealt with.
And often if you start thinking analytically about what's happening in front of you, it can help you depersonalize some of those things. I know that, if you were to talk to a lot of different BCBAs that have been in the field for a while, or even a couple of years, we've had pretty much or seen things that, would curl the hairs of other people, But we are able to continue to show up and analyze these things. And I often say I'm blessed to see the problematic behavior because that's what we want to see. But think about the probability of reward for the good, the desirable behaviors versus the problematic behaviors. If you're in a classroom raising your hand, waiting patiently to be called on, and there's 20 kids there, what's the probability of the reward for engaging in that behavior? 1 out of 20,
yeah.
Right? Now, if I really want somebody's attention and I reach over and start whacking Chris here, the probability of the reward for that behavior that might still
100%.
get that attention goes right to 100.
Yeah, it does.
So what becomes the most efficient thing
To get the attention.
Right.
So what is a strategy that you would teach a student or a child to manage that behavior? How would you handle that? Is that a fair question? Like,
absolutely.
What would you do? Anyone? All?
Well, first, we really have to determine why they're doing it. What's the function, right? And so when Alyssa said communication.
So if they're trying to communicate, that's their goal, how would you address that?
Well, and kind of to what we were saying earlier about the not shouting out or not turning to your peer and punching your peer next to you, what are we looking for? So when you're not engaging in those challenging behaviors, but you are sitting quietly at your seat and maybe you're even raising your hand, we're going to go over there and flood you with, let's say, you're looking for that attention. Let's assume that function is that attention piece. We're going to go over there.
You basically acknowledge good behavior.
Yeah, and I think we're also looking at what skills can we teach. So if it is to get attention, it might be saying, excuse me, or I need help, or things like that. Showing a card, being able to ask for a break. So let's say some of the work demands of school might be too much, and so we might see challenging behavior arise when those demands become too hard. Well, what are they really trying to do? They're trying to not do the work.
Right.
So how can we functionally teach them a way to not do the work? And that could be asking for a break, saying that I need to do help or I need help. All of those things are skills that we would help kind of teach in programs. So we're really looking, is it that they want maybe a specific item or a specific toy, a specific activity, teaching those language skills to be able to ask for those things. And then also being able to tolerate, no, not right now. And so that's kind of a whole different skill set.
Are we talking kids or adults? I'm sorry. Okay.
This is the science of human behavior.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But I think that's one of the hardest parts about specifically within the public school systems, right? And when working within gen ed classrooms is that A lot of times the question might be, well, you're just going to let them get out of it? You're just going to let them not do it, you know? And when we're doing things like teaching, I need help, I need a break, I need to take a walk, something like that, you know, but before they were throwing the desk and punching their peer.
So this is progress, is what we're saying.
Exactly. And it's the end goal, right, is to get back to the point where we're able to tolerate some time doing work. That is, of course, the goal. We want everyone to feel successful in that environment, but maybe that's not where we're at right now. And let's meet them where they're at right now and work on those skills to get back to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because a lot of people will say that. So you're telling me that every time Jamie asks for a break, we let him? Well, he's going to do it all the time. And the answer to that is absolutely, because you know what? When he flips the desk, he still gets the break.
Right. He's getting it anyway. So you might, but then you work toward integration into the classroom.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, so if I have a student who's flipping out, throwing a desk, or the students at home acting out, throwing things, what would you say to a teacher or a parent to try that if they're trying to deal with that? What would be like the first strategy? I mean, we know they're trying to communicate something. We've learned that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you do?
So a lot of times I'll ask, well, what do you do to get it to stop?
Yeah.
And that can be kind of a signal, or that can signal to us what they might be trying to get, right? So if I say to a teacher, you know, well, what do you do to get them to stop engaging in this behavior? And they say, well, I take all the work away, and then they stop. And I say, okay, well, then that might signal to me, right? Then they're trying to escape that demand. You know, we as behavior analysts, we think about behavior functionally. So, you know, we believe that people engage in, let's say, challenging behavior to either gain attention, to escape demands, to gain access to preferred items or activities, or there is sometimes a component that we call like sensory or automatic, and there's just something about it that might feel good to that individual when they're engaging in that behavior. So we really look at those 4 functions of behavior, and then those are kind of telling us and showing us what we need to teach for replacement skills. And a lot of it does come back to that communication piece. But, you know, that's often where I'll start. And so then, you know, sometimes that's enough, and then sometimes we need to look more deeper kind of into this behavior, and then we might start putting a referral in for what we call like a functional behavior assessment or a functional analysis.
An FBA.
An FBA, yes.
Ah, that's a good segue.
Yep.
We're going to come back and talk about FBAs.
All right.
Perfect. But first, here we go. This kind of goes along with what you're saying. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ice cream.
Ice cream who?
Ice cream if you don't give me some candy. Ice cream, right?
There it is.
And it's Halloween.
And a reinforcement behavior.
Come on, that was pretty good. I'm going to give myself a pat
That was good.
back
That was
for
good.
looking that
We
one
like
up.
it. We like it.
All right. Our next song is, give me 1 second.
Number 14.
Yeah, number 14, thanks. Now it won't come up. So number 14, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. She's walking down the street, blind to every eye she meets. Do you think you'll be the guy to make the queen of the angels sigh? Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
All right, Pete, we're going to talk about FBAs in a second, but I wanted to let you know, I saw Bobby Goff last night, Agawam Paranormal on Western Mass News last night. Did you catch it, Pete?
No, but I've seen him in the past.
So I'm wondering, because I guess they were checking out, and our own Kathy Palmer from Ken's
Women's
Den,
Club, yep.
the Westfield Women's Club. Is it really haunted?
Absolutely.
It is?
Yes. And they found different spirits here this time than the last time. They did it for the 350, and they've done it since one other time.
Like bad spirits? Good spirits?
No, they're just all people visiting. They think one of them's a former actor. One of them is a child that might have been there when the Girl Scouts used to come there all the time. Used the downstairs. And I don't know about this one, but they said they had new evidence.
Well, so it was on at 11 o'clock, and I was otherwise occupied. But
there's 2 segments, so you missed the early one.
I caught the early one, but I didn't get the second one. They were going to give more information.
It's on their website.
Okay, I'm going to check it out. But Kathy Palmer was pretty convinced that there's something in there.
She absolutely believes there is.
Wow. We have a local haunt. That's something. Okay, sorry.
There's many local haunts. He did 3 sites for the 350 anniversary.
Did he really?
Pilgrim Candle, that old hotel building.
That looks
definitely,
like I could see that building being haunted.
There's something a little malicious in there.
Well, Soup's On used to be in there, and so I would go for lunch on occasion and grab soup. We had really good soup.
Remind me to show you a picture from my house that I took.
Your house haunted too?
And I just captured something that was interesting.
It's very, yes.
Yeah, they've seen it.
You have?
Yeah.
I have
Well, Bobby does his stuff.
You need Bobby Goff to come over.
So
Nonprofit.
he's a nonprofit, so you could talk to him since he's one of our hosts.
Yeah, I live in a old section of.
He did Bob Glass's house too.
Is Bob's house haunted?
I believe so.
It's creepy stuff.
Bob's house was part of the Underground Railroad.
Oh, that doesn't. Yeah, I've been to Bob's house. It's actually really old. So, but I
You've been there?
Yeah, there was a gathering at one point that I attended.
I've only been there once.
One time, I went there one time, and I was impressed with the architecture of it. But all right, okay, back to FBAs. What is an FBA again?
Functional Behavioral Assessment.
So, what point and what does that mean? I mean, it sounds fancy, but what does it mean to the lay person? What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of parts to an FBA. So, maybe we've gotten to the point where we're saying we really want to look deeper into the challenging behavior. So we want to look at doing some interviews with
So you're talking to the
family.
student and the family?
Possibly the student, yep, and the family, the teachers, depending on the setting.
What do you ask?
So we like to use the open-ended functional assessment interview from Greg Hanley, and it goes through a different list of questions, like just about the challenging behavior. So what happens before? So we're looking at antecedents. What do you see in the environment that changes?
Are there triggers for kids?
Exactly, and asking what could common triggers be? What does the behavior look like? What are we really looking at? Are we looking at physical aggression towards others? Are we looking at a student throwing something? Is it environmental aggression? Is it just refusal to do work? What are we looking at? And then breaking down the consequences. So people hear consequences and might think like punishment, like did they lose
That's the first thing you hear of.
Right.
Or you think of, yeah.
And so when we're talking about consequences, we're saying what happened in the environment after the challenging behavior. So did the work get removed? Did the student leave the classroom? What happened after the challenging behavior? And so we're asking those questions and looking at those pieces. We're doing ABC data, so that antecedent behavior consequence data, exactly marking down what we're seeing. Hopefully we're getting multiple instances to record that data and give us a better idea of function. We're doing preference assessments to determine what does the student like, what would they be motivated to work for if we were to put in some sort of like incentive plan. That's a part of an FBA. We're doing record review, so we're looking at the student's history. Are there, possible medical pieces we need to consider here? That's a big piece that we always look at first, because we can't necessarily compete with.
Do medical conditions affect behavior?
Totally, and they can or they can't. There's I think both situations. Go ahead.
Like when we talk about behaviors that might look at like self-injurious behavior. So if we have students that maybe are hitting themselves in the face and things like that, could it be that there's a problem with their teeth or something like that? And so every time they're kind of hitting, it's putting pressure, which is like releasing that. So we always want to make sure that we're ruling out those medical causes first. And then we're kind of looking at what interventions can we put in place from there. I think the other thing about a functional behavior assessment is that when we're looking at it within like our multi-tiered system of support or PBIS, positive behavior intervention
there we go.
support
Hey.
framework, right? This is a tier 3 approach. So, we've probably already tried a tier 1, which is universal, right? We're targeting all students, and it didn't work for that student. So now we're going into a tier 2 approach. So it's maybe smaller group or a little bit more individualized, and we're working through, and that wasn't effective. We're still seeing, let's say, high rates of those challenging behaviors. So now we're kind of recommending, those things didn't work. We've tried all of this, and now we're going to move into that tier 3, very individualized, functional behavior assessment. There are times where we do an FBA and the results are a little bit inconclusive. So, we still might be kind of questioning or we're unsure. And then we might even recommend further what we call a functional analysis. And that's where we're actually testing the behavior. So, oftentimes we're not getting to the point where kids are engaging in severe challenging behavior, but we are looking for what we call like precursor behaviors. So those might be behaviors that happen before we get to the point of, becoming highly escalated. So it could be, a student starting to push their work away or saying no, or kind of slithering out of their chair is a big one that we'll see. And so we start to reinforce those. And so we might say, hey, I get it. Like, this is really hard. You just go back to doing what you want to do. And we really want to see, do we see that behavior kind of turn on? Can we see some of those precursor behaviors? And then are we able to shut it off? And so do we see those behaviors?
Well, if we know there's a trigger, maybe we ought to not do the trigger.
Well, yes, but then we're avoiding kind of the problem, right? So we can't always guarantee that trigger is never going to come up in that individual's life.
So you need to develop skills for this with the students so that they can handle that.
Yeah, in the long run.
So if you, can you think of a success? What does that look like? You do the FBA. Do you observe the student? Is that part of the FBA too? You observe them in class? And then, so you do this functional behavior assessment, and then what? You develop a plan of action, like an action plan for the student.
Yep, and we call that a behavior intervention plan.
A BIP.
A BIP, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so we will develop a behavior intervention plan. It really outlines what all of the behaviors look like, because I want to make sure that I'm noting the right behavior, but then you can go in and you can go in and you can go in, and we're all saying we're seeing the same behavior.
Right.
Which is very important. And then we're working with the teachers or whoever is maybe primarily working with that student to then implement that plan. So, the goal is that we're able to go in and we're modeling it and we're providing kind of that first training through, but then we want to get to a point where we're able to kind of take a step back, and we've trained the staff to then be able to implement it. So we might then at that point be in there kind of observing, being able to provide feedback around kind of how that plan is being implemented, and then really looking for like that generalization and maintenance of the skills that we're teaching. So, you ask kind of at the beginning, how long do kids need this kind of, I think our goal is always to give them what they need and then get out. So we don't want to be involved in the kids' lives for too long.
Right.
We
you don't want to be
them.
there pre-K to 12.
No, we want to be with them, but we also want to make sure that we're giving them the skills, and it's almost a success when they don't need us anymore, which can be hard for us because we love them very much.
Yes,
but it's a goal is that they don't need kind of our level of service, and they've kind of gained those skills and they're able to go back into the classroom.
That's awesome, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So what is an example of a success?
Well, we've had students, I'm just thinking about our students, within Paper Mill, and again, having the Milestones programs there. And we've seen students who needed to, stay within their program setting for the full day so that they could work on those skills
Right.
and work on, just being a student at school and work on sitting at a desk and listening to a teacher and following group instructions. And that started with small group with 3 to 4 kids, and maybe then they increased to 8 to 10 kids. And eventually we've seen those skills generalize into the gen ed classroom where maybe they're spending, half or even full day within the gen ed. And we're seeing them use skills like I need a break within gym class and out at recess and going up to a teacher and advocating for themselves at the lunchtime. Those are the success stories that we see and that we're so excited about because we see them doing just that, generalizing those skills into different environments and even at home. We have parents who will say.
So that's the next question. So how can a parent take the skills that you're training this child, right? How can they take it and implement them at home? And obviously, I would think you're going to have a higher success rate if the interventions are modeled both at school and at home, right? I mean, that's a good consistency factor.
Yeah. Typically, what we try to do is incorporate an in-home team. We do what are kind of called wraparound services. So whoever's in the home, we try to do some consultation as a team. One of the things that I always say to every BCBA in our district is to make sure that you're hitting the monthly consult with a parent. So the A-grid consultation is not just to school, it's also to parents. Some parents absolutely take advantage of that so they can hear what's happening, they can get trained in some of the skills. We can't implement the behavior plans in their house. We can give them some suggestions because we can't monitor it, right?
Are folks receptive? Parents?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are receptive. Some people, it's overwhelming, right?
Sure.
Behavior can get really extraordinary very quickly.
Yes, it can.
And it might start with something very ordinary,
Do
like
the parents
a
want
refusal.
Do you find that?
I think sometimes it can be challenging because we sometimes are getting called in when, the student has had kind of a very long period of engaging in challenging behavior.
Yeah, long history.
And so we're kind of getting called in almost, I don't want to say near like the tail end, but when things have kind of gotten really bad. And so that can be a little bit challenging, especially if maybe there are disagreements between kind of like the parent and school and things like that. And so, that I definitely think at times can be a barrier, but I think, the communication piece is huge and really making sure that they feel involved in the process. So, we're not implementing any sort of behavior plan or doing an FBA or anything like that without them really truly understanding, like, what does it mean and, like, what is it going to look
Do
like
you
for
get
their
resistance
student.
from some families?
I think there's a piece of acceptance too for a lot of families who, are maybe they're just coming to this, they're getting a new diagnosis for their student.
Right,
or,
right.
There's
It's a lot for
of
the family to
pieces.
take in. Let's
Of course it is.
Absolutely.
And
And I don't have a student with autism. I'm not parenting a student with ADHD, so I don't ever want to, speak to a parent as if I do know better. That's their kid and they know them the best, and we have to work together as a team in order for something to be successful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break in a second. But we have a knock knock.
Oh, boy.
Who's
Here we
there?
go.
Deja.
Oh, boy.
Knock knock.
Who's
there?
Deja. Just kidding. Deja vu, right? Come on. Gotcha. And then that's probably enough. Huh? Okay. The last song was "Hello, I Love You" by The Doors. This next song, I think, is one of my dad's favorite songs. Number 62 of this year.
Number 62.
inside, girl. Let the sound take you away.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio. 89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM.
I'm like a swollen
WSKB
version of
Westfield.
And we're back on Superintendent Spotlight, broadcasting live from beautiful Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy on this amazing day today. I mean, it's October 31st, and it's going to be, what, 78 degrees at some point or something today? Chef Rogers, thanks for joining the show. What's going on?
Not much. A good Halloween day. You know, beautiful weather. Nice day to go home and clean up leaves.
sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really is. So I have two students with us today. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
They decided, Gabby decided to make sugar cookies with a little bit of almond extract in them, roll them out, cut Halloween shapes, and ice them. And she was doubting herself the whole entire time. Chef, these don't look good. And I'm like, Gabby, they look fantastic.
It looked good to me.
That's her first time ever doing that. And for the first time, I think that's pretty darn good.
All right, so let's hear first from Gabby. Gabby, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers and tell us what we got going on this morning here.
My name's Gabby, and I made sugar cookies for Halloween.
You sure did.
What grade are you in?
10th.
10th grade. All right. Okay.
And who else do we have with us this morning?
Kason Toledo.
Kason, what grade are you in, bud?
10th.
So we have a couple of sophomores with us this morning. We've got some great cookies. So tell tell us about the process this morning. How did we make them?
Well, first I mixed the butter and the sugar, and then I combined all the dry ingredients, and then I added the extracts, and then I added the dry ingredients into the mix, and then I rolled out the batter and cut them with cookie cutters.
How much did you?
Very
bake 'em?
nice.
Do you bake them?
And obviously, we had to bake them a little bit too. But who cut the? Did you cut the shapes?
Yeah,
Who iced the cookies?
I did.
Oh my gosh! So amazing.
Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the hardest, 1 being the easiest. How hard is making a sugar cookie?
Well, probably a 2.
Probably a 2. Okay. For me, it would be probably an 8 or a 9. But
right there with you.
Right. So awesome. So why don't
Oh,
why
wait,
don't we?
you went to some skills.
Oh, that's right.
thing recently, right? Tell us about that.
It was fun. We left here like 7 o'clock. We got there like 8, and then
Natick, right?
yeah, it's in Natick.
Yes, Natick.
The Army barracks.
Yeah. After that,
Cool.
when we got there, we unpacked. We put all of our things under the table, and then we waited for other schools to come. And then after that, when all the schools came, we had like 30 minutes to write what we're gonna do, like what the menu is, like what we're gonna serve to them. And after that, we had an hour and a half to do it.
Wow.
And what were you using?
I made the bakery.
What were the kits that they gave you?
Oh, the MRE kits.
What's an MRE for folks that don't know?
Meals ready to eat.
Yeah, they use those in the military,
Most
right?
commonly used.
Yes, in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
you use stoves and stuff? Ovens, pans? Did you have any fire?
No, there's no fire. We
How'd you
just
heat
used
stuff
it.
up?
We put water in this little baggie, and that we put the food in there so it heated up, and then
And that's it. All right.
So what'd you end up making?
I was gonna say, what did you make?
I did the dessert. We had vanilla. We had pound cake, lemon poppy seed pound cake, and a vanilla one, and we had blueberry lemon cobbler. And
That's all MRE?
No.
I was gonna say that's pretty cool.
That's what I use. And that we had Twizzlers, cherry Twizzlers.
So is it kind of like a chef cooking show kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of.
They give you the ingredients, you have things to work with, and then you got to make it happen?
So each team
Yeah, we all had 5 MRE packets.
Yeah, each team had 5 MRE packs, and do you know if they were the same?
No, they're all different.
So you have
the main course are all the same, but like all the other things, like the desserts, like the crackers. Some people didn't even get them. Like my group, we had 2 packs of tortillas, and the other group didn't have any.
Okay, so the MREs are all different, and the teams have no idea what they're going to be handed when they get there.
Wow, that's
So
pretty
these
challenging.
students, stayed after school with Chef Nick for a couple days, and we have MREs that the National Guard over here across the street gave us a couple years ago, and they're good, I think, for 25 years or something. So they practice with some of the items, tried to be as creative as possible. The one thing that I struggle with, some of the other schools that have larger volumes of culinary students, they'll actually spend the whole first quarter working with nothing but MREs just for this competition. Great if you can, but we don't have the
do
luxury
that,
of that
no.
because we try to provide services for our community, our veterans, local organizations doing catering all throughout Westfield. So our students are.
You have a veterans luncheon coming up, don't you, next week?
13th, yeah. We skipped a week. It's usually the first Wednesday. We
Right.
skipped a week to have it closer to Veterans Day.
Okay.
So Veterans
Which makes
Day-
sense.
Yep.
Is the 11th,
And we
Monday?
have the Westfield High School and Westfield Technical Academy band facilitated by Pat Kennedy.
They're gonna
They're
they're
gonna
gonna
be playing yes, which is really, really cool.
That's
And
great.
I think the band has become really robust over the past couple of years in blending the two schools together. So, and the veterans love it when they're up there, and they do a very good job. We're going to do a traditional turkey dinner for them.
Excellent. Nice.
Which I think they'll be happy about. So, these guys go to it, and they're the underdog. But they still, like Kasem was so positive the whole day, and Chef Nick expressed that he thought it was the coolest thing. And just exposing students to those opportunities, I think, is so important because they go and they size themselves up against students throughout the whole Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Right.
And they can see, students that are maybe outperforming you. and it just gives you an idea of maybe what you have to rise up to. But he came home very positive. Wicked, wicked proud of him.
Excellent.
I
Congratulations.
don't want to steal the show.
That's okay, but I just want to congratulate you.
Congratulations, both of you.
And let's have some cookies.
Let's eat.
Thank you so much for making these for us. Yeah, it's already 9:59. So the last song we're going to hear is "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" at number 4. So we're going to try to guess the year. And Pete, we're going to start with you. What do you think the year is of all these songs?
I'm going 1970, just a shot in the dark.
Okay. Jamie, you're next.
I'm going 1968.
Okay. Chef Rogers, do you have a guess? I'm saying 69. 69? Chris Rogers?
Also 68.
Now you can just guess around there.
Guess close. I'm going to say 67.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go 65 just for fun.
For fun. The answer is 68.
Yes.
Good
Really?
job.
I just want to say that I'm 2 for 2, by the way.
Yes, you are. You absolutely are. So that's actually our show already for today. I want to thank
That's
you
a
all
wrap.
for being on it. You provided a wealth of information for us. Look at that. I just want to show this perfectly good pumpkin cookie. And if I take a bite, I won't be able to talk for a minute. But next week, what is next week? November
6th.
Yeah. I can't remember who's on.
That's it. We're out.
Yeah, I guess we're out. But folks, have a great weekend. Thank you again for coming, and we'll send you the link so you can watch yourselves later.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for, and look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change, everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Listen, sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.